we go from 58 to 55 players today. And for that, we begin in San Diego, where the Chargers solidified their quarterback room. Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers joined Justin Herbert, who outdueled John Hadl for the final quarterback spot, and really the competition wasn't even all that close. Same story in New York. Tarkenton outduels Phil Simms for the final QB position. He was the Giants' leading passer and now joins Eli Manning and Y.A. Tittle as the team's top QBs. And the final quarterback decision was made with the all-time Rams. Hall of Famer Bob Waterfield shockingly has been released after week 3 of the preseason. The Rams are also moving on from running back Todd Gurley. Dickerson, Falk, Jackson, and McCutcheon are the new tailbacks. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Nightmare leads the race for the final running back spot with the Kansas City Chiefs, and the decision has been made in Green Bay as they will keep both Greg Jennings and Donald Driver. Jordy Nelson has been released. Here is the final wide receiver room for the Packers. Don Hudson, Sterling Sharp, James Lofton, Devontae Adams, Greg Jennings, and Donald Driver round out the Packers receiving room. The Eagles have also finalized their receiving room. Harold Jackson contending with many of the greats in the Eagles' past, and A.J. Brown, the newbie, is the one that edged him out. 7 grabs for 118 yards and a touchdown in an outstanding preseason for Brown. A relatively anticlimactic ending as well for the receiver battle in Dallas as Dez Bryant beats out Tony Hill for the final receiver position. A disappointing day for the highly decorated Hill, and the same could be said for Dallas tailback Ezekiel Elliott, just 23 yards in exhibition play. Elliott has officially been relieved in favor of Emmitt Smith, Tony Dorsett, DeMarco Murray, and Calvin Hill. The final running back spot in Pittsburgh belongs to Hall of Famer Bill Dudley. 13.6 yards per carry for Dudley. He beats out Parker for the final tailback spot. The all-time Broncos are going to do without Steve Watson. A shocking release for him today. He had over 6,000 yards in 9 NFL seasons, all with Denver. In the same game, Tariq Woolen won his job at corner in front of Keith Simpson. Adam Pac-Man Jones and Eric Thomas was the final cornerback battle for the all-time Cincinnati Bengals, and Jones, who has both of Cincinnati's interceptions in the preseason, will make the final 53-man roster. Ironically, Jones was beaten for a long touchdown to Ted Ginn, who wins the final receiver spot for Carolina over Brandon LaFell. Ginn, the speedster out of Ohio State, has been one of the best receivers of exhibition play. Minnesota has more than enough talent at defensive tackle, but they'll be moving on from 2 of them today. Pat Williams is gone, Linval Joseph is gone, leaving Keith Millard, Kevin Williams, John Randall, and Alan Page for the Vikings. Disappointing preseason for Detroit tight end Brandon Pettigrew with just 2 catches for 18 yards, meaning Sam Laporta has earned the 3rd and final tight end spot for the Lions. Same story for Super Bowl champion Brent Jones in San Francisco, who beat out Dave Parks for the 3rd and final tight end position. And we end our day of cuts in Chicago. The Bears' George Halas says Jay Cutler, who has been absolutely embarrassing in the preseason, is on thin ice. He'll have to do without Johnny Knox, who has also been released at wide receiver for Chicago. All 32 franchises made their cuts from 58 to 55 players today. Here's a look at the complete list. The all-time Kansas City Chiefs, with a big interception from perennial All-Pro Dave Grayson, beat out Kevin Ross for the final quarterback spot. Meanwhile, for the Falcons at cornerback, A.J. Terrell is gone, meaning Ken Reeves wins the job as the team's final defensive back, a big development out of Atlanta. Check out the middle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Buddy Dial has been released, meaning Lewis Lips does officially clinch a wide receiver spot. Highlights coming up this weekend for the final week of the preseason with Charger 295.